Okay, the controversial question, should you bring a gun on the trail? Uh, I was on social media, Facebook to be specific, the other day, and someone had brought up a question or a concern. I think the original post was a concern about being able to sleep at night. This person was having concerns about being able to sleep at night alone in her tent. And the first reply was that, not sure what that noise was. Anyway, their first reply was someone that said that she should bring a weapon. Wasn't specific, but I think the first weapon that comes to people's mind is a gun. I think later on, after a lot of other comments, this person sort of shifted it and suggested that she meant bear spray or some other device. But anyway, it's not the first time that I've heard people talking about should you or should you not bring a gun on the trail. And before I go on and sort of give my thoughts on it, and I did, in fact, the reason that I'm doing this video is that I replied, and I gave a couple of replies, a little bit humorous, one of them anyway, and I got several reactions to not to my original post, but to a reply that I had given on this original post, and I rarely get that much response to one of my own posts, let alone a reply that I give to someone else's post. So I thought that was pretty interesting and a topic that seems to be on a lot of people's minds and a lot of people have a lot of opinions about. But before I go on, let me say one of the things that I really like about being on the trail and hiking and the hiking community is that we all leave our other lives behind, and we even have new names, trail names, and a new identity. And one of the things that I've discovered being out hiking, especially when I was on the Camino last summer, is that you can easily make connections with people that are actually very different from you, and that includes people that have different opinions. Not just religious beliefs, but even political beliefs, and that's something really unusual in today's society, unfortunately. I remember back several years ago when I had some very close friends and even family members that had contrary or contradictory political opinions from myself, and actually enjoyed conversations with them because we respected one another. And ultimately, I think I even learned a little bit from having these open and honest and civil discussions with these people that believe differently than myself. So yeah, that's one of the things that I like about the trail. So and I think on the trail, I think people tend to deliberately not bring up extremely controversial topics, especially in terms of politics. And whether you should bring a gun on the trail or not really doesn't necessarily even have to be a political discussion. And so I think most of the replies tend to be just purely practical advice. So let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit. And I welcome your comments. If you want to leave a comment about how you feel on this subject, great. But let me just sort of summarize a lot of the sentiment that I was seeing in this particular post and what I see about one person, one of the first persons that actually responded to my reply with a like or something. Said that, well, this person had suggested bringing a weapon and assuming that it was a gun, said obviously is not a thru hiker, and the reason is that it's purely practical. Guns are heavy, and when you're doing some serious thru hiking up and down the mountains, every ounce counts. And so, from a purely practical point of view, in terms of weight, that's not good advice. And then, and also another practical perspective that people give for whether or not they should bring a gun on the trail is, are you going to be carrying it, in your hands at all times. If you've got hiking poles, that might be kind of difficult, and if not, where are you going to put it? And then the question is, what is it? Is it going to be used for? Is it going to be used for a bear? The idea of really stopping a bear with a handgun, I'm not too sure how practical that even is. But even if an occasion comes up where you will need that, you wish you had a weapon to defend yourself for whatever reason, whether it's a bear or another person or something else, Bigfoot, who knows? The odds are, if you're carrying it in your pack, whether it's a bear or a crazy person or something like that, they're not going to wait while you take your backpack off and go through and pull out your gun and load it if necessary. That's just not going to be work. It's not going to be practical. So those were the kind of comments that were brought up. And so really, I don't think those are political at all. I think you can have those beliefs and still, and in fact, I tend to agree with these people that made these comments. But have fired guns before, and I think those who, it's not necessarily something that I embrace as a sport and a good pastime. But the times that I have had opportunities to fire firearms, it's kind of fun, target practice, and I'm not a hunter, but several people I know, members of my family, and other people are game hunters, and I got no problems with that. I'm not wanting to abolish the Second Amendment or anything like that. Even though I do agree with these people, these practical people, about what is really practical for the trail in terms of firearms. So yeah, leave your comments. Hopefully they're civil. But I read all my comments, by the way, and I'm sure that there's going to be some anecdotal. In fact, actually, it wasn't really a case in the same thread of comments on the Facebook post. Somebody did give some anecdotal support, I guess, for bringing a weapon. I think that was support for it, saying that because we were talking about bears and how unlikely a bear attack would be, and she mentioned. I think it was she. Most of these were women, oddly, giving responses. Mentioned that she did have a friend whose bear attacked their tent. I'm not sure if she mentioned if the people were actually in it or not. And my reply was, my first thought, when a bear is attacking a tent is there food inside? And she eventually replied saying no, they had their sack hung. They might have had a sack hung, and maybe they still had some peanuts or something in their backpack or something. Who knows? But even then, that they didn't say how a gun had really helped them out in any way. Just that a bear so did attack their tent, and supposedly there wasn't even any food in there, so I'm sure there's some anecdotal rebuttals to some of the things that I'm some of my feelings, but I haven't heard of any occasion where a bear has been repelled by someone carrying a handgun. Yeah, there are bear encounters out there, but anyway, so yeah, feel free to share your thoughts. And and in case you're wondering where I am, if you've been following my thread, you know that I'm actually in New Zealand right now. If you've been following my vlog, and I'm just a couple of days, more than a couple of weeks, I should say, away from heading back to the States and starting my hike at Springer Mountain northbound to hopefully I make it all the way to Katahdin. And no, I will not be carrying a gun for all of those practical reasons. I've got enough weight in my backpack, I think, so that won't be happening. Well, one of my replies, I think my first reply to that woman who said that she was having concerns about being able to sleep at night. And then someone else replied, that she should carry a weapon. I guess trying to be funny, I guess I said, I suggested that if I have any trouble sleeping on the trail, it's going to be thinking about all the people on the trail who are carrying weapons. And then later on, I replied to this woman that if she was carrying a weapon and she heard something rustling at night, that it was probably me just going out to take a whiz, and please don't shoot. I think those are just practical advices, and I think people suggesting that you not bring a weapon on the trail aren't necessarily people who feel like there should be tighter gun control, or people that lean left on that subject versus people who lean right. I think that there are, for purely practical reasons, people that are even right leaning and are fully in support of gun rights. They probably would say the same thing in terms of practical advice for the trail. So, like I said, leave your replies or your comments, and I do my best to reply to all my comments, at least with a like. And if you're asking a question, I don't think that anybody's ever asked me a question on my YouTube comments that I haven't responded to. So, all right, that's it. Like I said, in a couple weeks, I'm going to see you all out there. So happy trails.